Hi guys, welcome back to Kpop Talks. Today we're doing our monthly videos, which in this case is gonna be the best Kpop albums of 2023, of May 2023. My bad. Um I felt this month wasn't that great in terms of projects. There was a lot of stuff that come out. Some of the stuff I was more hyped about. Some of the stuff about less. There was, at least for me, personal surprises, personal disappointments. When it comes to the best projects, I think you'll see a lot of albums from artists that, if you know me, if you watched my videos in the past, I've criticized and I've put regularly in the worst list. So let's get right into it. I don't want to waste too much time. And I don't think we should really waste much more time with aespa, with my word. Honestly, a surprise. I feel like aespa is slowly but surely becoming their own thing. I'm happy that they're not doing that cyberpunk kind of like hyper technological futuristic style as much anymore. They're trying to vary a little bit, similar to what Red Velvet did at one point. I think that's good for them. And I think if it's done well, why not? So aespa World is one of my favorite albums. It's short, to the point, sweet, fun, a little bit experimental like most SF music, and it's very, very enjoyable. Next we have Davina with Naughty. I liked her change of style. It was a risk in my opinion, but it worked. And from the choices of the features, from the choices of the aesthetics, obviously this is more of a mainstream sound, but I think if you do it well like she did, it's gonna be really good, and she did. Her vocals are great, the lyricism is there, and the production choices are, I think, different enough, interesting enough where you don't get bored of them or feel like they're overly repetitive. And next we have Atbo with The Beginning. Probably one of the few EPs I've heard this year that actually have a start and end. It feels like you're actually listening to a project. You're actually listening to a progression of an art form, of an album, of a concept at least. You know, a lot of groups right now don't do that, specifically male groups. And you're gonna see it when I'm gonna do the worst videos, worst albums, and worst songs. There's a lot of that right now in the boy groups department, but Arbo kind of brings from that, and they're able to do a lot of variety, a lot of interesting stuff, and still push themselves in a, I think, uncomfortable position artistically when they don't really have to. They can just do their own thing and sell and make a shitload of money. So I mean, give them credit. It works, and I think it sounds fantastic as well. Next we have Juani with Lights. Apart from the single Freedom, every other song I really love. I mean, Juan is one of the best, if not the best, I think, artists from Monsta X. I love his vocals when he's really into his singing shit. Obviously, his rapping, I think, is always been one of the best in K-pop regularly. It's just one of the best in Korea, even in the hip-hop sphere. I think he's just one of the best rappers. So, you know, give him credit. He's always done a good job. He's always will do a good job. So I don't think there's much to complain if you're a fan of Juwan like myself, who has been a fan of Monsta X since the start, and Juwan himself. And again, even the fact that he released his first album 2-3 years ago, when I think he should have released it a year after their debut, always, you know, made me mad because I know how good he can really be. So I had a problem when I was recording the video, so I'm doing it like a couple of days later. But I think we got to Juwan with Lights. Now we're at Cold Love Part 2. This is a project that I really like by Cold personally. I think it does what it's supposed to do. There's a lot of really good features, a lot of interesting production choices. And you know, he's been around for a long time. He's a pretty successful artist. It's just that for whatever reason he has been on and off. And to see him come back, and I think, you know, still show to everybody that he's one of the best artists in Korea. I think it's pretty cool in my opinion. So it's one of the best full-length projects. I think only maybe one of the 2 or 3 on this list that is an actual full-length project for the most part. For one reason or another, people still release like 3 or 4 singles albums, specifically boy groups more than girl groups anymore, but I mean, it's a solid album. I really, really love it, and I think you love it as well, apart from this song with Arame. So if you're a fan of BTS, go and check the project outside of just that single per se, I think, because it would be really cool to listen to. Next we have Icon with Takeoff. I mean, I really like it. I didn't really know what to expect going into this project. I thought that, you know, Icon just leaves the company. Maybe they're just gonna drop a bunch of songs together. I've heard a single, I didn't really like it, and then when I got into the project, I was really surprised by the overall quality of the project. The solo stuff by the individual members is really good. The different things are really, really good. I like how the album flows. It doesn't feel too long, even though it's a long listen. So I was really surprised by this. I really, really love it, and hopefully this is a sign for Icon to start making really good music again, because it felt, I think, for some time before that they were just doing what they were supposed to because they had the contract and that's it. But at least now, hopefully, we're gonna get actually quality music from them, which is what you really want from Icon at this point in their career. You don't really expect them to be this super popular group anymore because their time is over. Compared, and now there's a new generation. It happens to everybody. Next, we have Doko with Geek Artist. I really like this project as well by Doko. I'm not the biggest fan of him, barely ever heard his music, but I felt like this project was really good. Another relatively long project by him in his list, not necessarily by him because I didn't really listen to a lot of his music before, but it works. It's good. It's fun to listen to. There's a good variety of production, definitely more towards the acoustic side of things. So it was a really enjoyable listen. I didn't expect that, and I don't think there's really much to say about this project because it's very simple, but in its simplicity, I think it really stands out in a positive manner in K-pop today, where people tend to overproduce more often than not. Next, we have Enhypen with Dark Blood. I really enjoyed this project personally by Enhypen. I felt like it had everything that I like about them. It's really concentrating this project very, very well. I felt like in the past projects, like would get into an EP and feel like, yeah, it's solid, there's some good songs, but the entirety of it wouldn't be necessarily, I think, song per song, really high quality in my opinion. It's not the case with this. I feel like it works, and it's probably one of the few cases where they don't necessarily want to abide by a concept or like some sort of like storytelling that nobody really understands, so they just put a bunch of songs together that work. And I think if Enhypen does that, I think they'll be good for a long time. And next, Moonchild with Delicious Poison. I really like this project by Moonchild. Again, they're a fun group to listen to as well. I don't necessarily love everything they do, but when they do it well, I think it's great. And I think in this project there's enough of it where I'm comfortable going back to this project regularly and listening to it. It's relatively short. I don't think it's that long anyway, so go listen to it. I think it's pretty good. I don't know how long now Moonchild has been around. They haven't been around for a very long time, but I think they debuted this year if I'm not mistaken, but I don't remember when. So for like a 7-song EP, I think they did a really good job overall, and I think for a debuting group, that's the most important thing. Do something that it's interesting enough that captures the attention of the people, and then from there try to build something from there. But they're a new group, not most people don't know about them, so definitely go and give them a listen. Next, we have Mirani with The Drift. I really like this project by Mirani. She's an artist that I wasn't really a fan of, like when I started to listen to her a couple of years ago. I felt like she was overusing the autotune a lot, and she didn't really have her own like distinctive style, and I think that's not the case anymore. She's developed into being a very good artist, I think, and she's able to carry through that in the entirety of the project. Good feature choices, I think, and it's a good variety of her singing and some rapping she does, so I really like it. It's probably the standout hip-hop project of this month, I would say, because I can't think of any other hip-hop project that came out this month that really like wowed me in any way. Porca troia. It's a B2B Win and Wish. I'm a B2B fan, I've been forever, so I really enjoy this project. It's nothing special from the boys. Objectively, they've done this multiple times, this type of project. It's good, and I get what I like from them. So good vocals, fun productions, and a good variety of production choices in the album. They're like Aping for me. If it wasn't for the fact that Aping last month, in my opinion, was not able to deliver on those things as well as they normally do. I don't think that's the case with B2B, which again delivers a very solid project. And I mean, they have been one of the most consistent acts in K-pop. They've hardly ever had a year where they dropped music that wasn't up to par to their standard, I think. So that I'm happy about. Next, we have Card with Iki. Now this will be a surprise because like this is what I know what I'm gonna get from Card now. I'm gonna get aggressive style music, stuff that is supposed to go into the clubs. They're supposed to go with at festivals, and I think they do it fine. Also in this project, I think having a hip hop song, having a R&B song, it's a good change of pace for them. And those songs are enjoyable for me enough that I'll listen to them. It's again nothing special for Card, and I think Card hasn't released a memorable project in a long time, but this is definitely, I think, a really good quality. And I think normally these type of songs and music that come out in the genre are never really as good as as Card does them. Card has an edge to them in the way they do it, even though it might come out as corny, a little bit cheesy here and there. They're still doing it their own way, which I think at the end of the day pays off in the long run more than doing it standard like most other people. And next we have Ab6 with The Future Is Ours Lost. Short, sweet to the point, enough variety. I've really enjoyed it. I thought Ab6 had a period where they were releasing good singles and the EP would be just whatever, very forgettable. I don't think that's the case with this. I think from the intro to the end, even though it's I think 5 or 6 songs, it's really good. It's a fun listen, and it's like a 15-20 minute listen that you would enjoy just putting on a loop and listening for like an hour or so. So I've enjoyed it. Doesn't mean others will, but for me personally, I think that's a huge upgrade in terms of quality throughout a small project, a short project from them in I think a year almost, where I felt like last year was a very up and down year for them overall. And last but not least, we have One Song with Demo. It's 4 songs, 4 hip-hop songs, really fun to listen to, short, and I think they showcase how talented he is because he's able to really put together a batch of songs that don't necessarily seem connected and still make us short some sort of like storyline aesthetically and musically that I think is very interesting. I really love it. Doesn't mean others will, but I think if you're a hip-hop fan, you'll definitely appreciate it, at least because it showcases insane talent, with which again I think is pretty cool, right? There's gonna be a hip-hop album in the worst section that has like 9 songs, and you could have had 2 on loop and it would have been the exact same thing throughout the 9 songs. So really good. And Monstan is somebody that I don't know why he's not more popular. I don't understand it. Maybe because he's not signed with a big label and he doesn't have a huge backup right now in Korea, which it seems to be very important for hip-hop artists as well. But you know, it's a really good project, even though it's short. I think it's very good. Is it for the best albums of May? I think there was a good variety overall. I didn't really feel like a lot of stuff was missed, and even the things that normally I think they're just average, I think this month were either good or simply bad. I don't think there was necessarily a middle ground, which I think it's better, honestly. Like I think it's okay if songs are average when it comes to singles, but on projects I prefer if you know you either take more risk or you either take no risk. And I think now it's even more obvious, specifically with boy groups, when somebody releases a bad project compared to maybe a year ago, where even if there wasn't as many groups coming out with stuff, at least the really good stuff would come out, and then the stuff that was average you wouldn't necessarily feel too bad about it. I think now it's even more obvious considering how bad I think boy groups are doing in terms of quality, even though I think May has been a really comeback month for them, that this is a month specifically where you see that with certain groups. So for example, Atwa I think did a good job, and IPEN, right? B2B Card is an example of this, where I feel like these same groups I would have never put in my list in the past, because I mean maybe B2B yes, but NIPEN would have just dropped an average EP, something without taking no risks. Same thing with Adbo. Now there is a little bit more of that, probably because they're not selling as well as they thought they were. So they probably want to put more effort behind the music. So people actually have a reason to keep buying projects like $15-20 regularly every 3 months, because it's an expense, and not just listen to one song on it. So I think overall that's a good thing. So that was it for the best albums of May 2023. Didn't think there was much to really talk about a lot of this project, because a lot of them are very simple, direct, but I think, and it's a lot of times it's just derivative of the fact that you know the artist. So if you know the artist, you're gonna enjoy them. That's it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time. Thank you for watching.